Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm Linda.
And I'm Leo. Today, we have a fascinating topic to talk about: the power of silence, what we miss in the noise.
That sounds intriguing, Leo. I think many of us don't realize how important silence can be. We're surrounded by noise all the time, whether it's from the city traffic or even the constant buzz of our phones.
Exactly, Linda. It's easy to forget how much noise influences our lives. But before we dive into that, let's talk about what silence actually is. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it's also a powerful tool that can impact our minds and bodies.
That's a great point. Silence can help us focus, relax, and even think more clearly. But in our busy world, it's often hard to find moments of true silence.
Yes, and this constant noise can make it difficult to hear ourselves think. Sometimes when we're in a noisy environment, we can feel stressed or overwhelmed. It's like our minds are racing with all the sounds around us.
And it's not just about feeling stressed. Research shows that noise pollution can have physical effects on our health, like increasing our blood pressure or causing sleep problems.
Wow, I didn't know that. It makes sense why finding moments of silence could be important for our health. But what about the benefits of silence for our mental well-being?
Silence can give our brains a much-needed break. When we are surrounded by noise, our brains are constantly working to process all the information. Silence allows our minds to rest and recover. It can also help us become more aware of our thoughts and feelings.
So, silence can actually help us understand ourselves better. That's interesting. How can we find silence in our everyday lives?
One way is to set aside time each day for quiet moments. It doesn't have to be long, just a few minutes of being alone with your thoughts can make a big difference. Another way is to create a quiet space at home where you can relax and think.
That sounds like a good idea, but what if we can't avoid noise completely? Are there ways to manage it?
Yes, there are. You can use noise-canceling headphones or earplugs to reduce unwanted sounds. Also, practicing mindfulness or meditation can help you find calm even when you're surrounded by noise.
I've heard that mindfulness is all about being present in the moment. Can it help with finding silence?
Absolutely. Mindfulness can help you focus on the present moment and tune out distractions. It's a great way to create a sense of inner silence even in a noisy environment.
That's really helpful advice. Let's also talk about how silence can enhance our creativity. When we are constantly surrounded by noise, it can be hard to come up with new ideas. Silence gives our minds space to think creatively.
Yes, many artists and writers find that they are more productive and inspired when they have quiet time. It's like their minds are clearer, and they can see things from a new perspective.
So, silence is not just about peace and relaxation. It's also a key ingredient for creativity and problem solving.
Exactly, and we'll explore more about how silence can improve our relationships and communication.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to that. For now, let's encourage our listeners to try finding moments of silence in their daily lives and see how it affects them.
Yes, give it a try and notice how it makes you feel. We'd love to hear your experiences.
Okay, and we talked about how silence can help us relax, focus, and even boost creativity. And now we're diving into something just as important: how silence can improve our relationships and communication with others.
That's right, Leo. It might sound surprising, but silence can play a big role in how we connect with other people. We often think that communication is all about words, but sometimes silence says more than words ever could.
Yes, exactly. Have you ever had a moment where you were with a friend, but neither of you were talking? Just sitting together quietly.
Oh yes, I've had those moments, and it's actually really nice. It feels peaceful, like you're comfortable with each other. You don't always need to fill the silence with words.
That's a great example. Silence between friends or family can be a sign of trust and understanding. When we don't feel pressured to talk, it shows we are comfortable with the other person.
Absolutely. Silence in conversations can also give us time to think. Instead of rushing to respond, we can take a moment to reflect on what the other person said.
I love that. It's like giving ourselves permission to slow down. So many times in conversations, people are just waiting for their turn to talk. They're not really listening.
Exactly. And when we're not listening, we can miss out on important things the other person is trying to say. Silence gives us the space to truly hear someone.
That's really powerful. Silence in conversations isn't about awkward pauses. It's about being present and giving attention to what's being said.
Yes, and you know what? Silence can also help us avoid arguments. When we feel angry or upset, our first reaction might be to say something harsh or defensive. But if we take a moment of silence, we can calm down and think about how we want to respond.
That's a good point, Linda. Sometimes just taking a deep breath and being silent can stop an argument from getting worse. It gives us time to cool off and see things more clearly.
Silence is almost like a tool for emotional control. When we pause before speaking, we're less likely to say something we might regret later.
And that can help us build stronger, healthier relationships. By being thoughtful in our communication, we show others that we respect them.
Exactly, Leo. Silence is also important when it comes to listening to others. Sometimes people just need someone to listen to them. They don't always need advice or solutions, they just need someone to be there in silence.
That's so true. Sometimes the best thing you can do for a friend or family member is to simply listen without interrupting. It shows that you care and that you're really paying attention.
Yes, and it's amazing how much more connected we feel when we give each other the space to talk and be heard. Silence helps create that space.
So, silence isn't just about being quiet. It's about being mindful of how we communicate with others. It helps us listen better, respond more thoughtfully, and connect on a deeper level.
Right, and I think that's something we often miss in the noise of everyday life. We're so used to talking, texting, and being online that we forget the value of quiet, personal moments.
That's a great takeaway. Maybe we should all try to bring more silence into our conversations, whether it's by listening more or just taking time to think before we speak.
Definitely, and for our listeners, think about your last conversation with a friend or family member. Was there enough silence? Were you truly listening? Or were you thinking about what to say next? It's something to consider.
Yes, and we'll explore how silence can lead to personal growth and inner peace. And we've explored how silence can help us relax, improve our relationships, and even make us more creative. And now we're talking about something deeper: how silence can lead to personal growth and inner peace.
Yes, this is such an important topic. Leo, I think we often overlook how silence can be a powerful tool for self-discovery. In our noisy world, it's easy to get caught up in distractions. But when we make time for silence, we can really start to understand ourselves better.
That's so true. Silence gives us the space to think, reflect, and connect with our inner thoughts. It's in these quiet moments that we can learn more about who we are and what we really want in life.
Exactly. When we're constantly surrounded by noise, whether it's from other people, social media, or even just our busy minds, it's hard to hear our own inner voice. But in silence, we can tune into that voice and ask ourselves important questions.
Like, what do I really value? Or what makes me happy? Silence helps us find clarity about what matters most. It's like giving our mind a chance to breathe and reset.
Yes, and that clarity can lead to personal growth. When we understand ourselves better, we can make better decisions, set meaningful goals, and work on becoming the best version of ourselves.
And you know, Linda, silence also helps us recognize the things that might be holding us back. Sometimes we avoid silence because it forces us to face difficult thoughts or emotions. But it's important to sit with those feelings and process them.
That's such a good point. It can be uncomfortable at first, but silence allows us to deal with our emotions in a healthy way. Instead of pushing them away, we can use silence to reflect and understand why we feel a certain way.
Right, and once we do that, we can begin to heal, grow, and move forward. Silence can be the first step to overcoming challenges and finding inner peace.
Exactly. Inner peace doesn't come from avoiding our problems or staying busy all the time. It comes from facing those challenges in silence and learning to accept ourselves, flaws and all.
And silence can help us practice mindfulness, too. Being mindful means being fully present in the moment without judgment. It's about paying attention to your thoughts, your breath, and your surroundings.
Yes, mindfulness is a powerful practice. When we're mindful, we can find peace even in the middle of a busy day. It's like creating a little bubble of silence in our minds, no matter where we are.
That's a great way to put it, and silence also helps us connect with the world around us. When we're quiet, we notice the beauty in simple things: the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sun, the peacefulness of nature.
Yes, nature is a great place to find silence. Whether it's a walk in the park or just sitting by a window, being in nature can remind us of the calm and stillness that exists beyond the noise of everyday life.
I love that. Silence in nature can be so soothing. It's like nature's way of teaching us to slow down and appreciate the present moment.
And in those moments of silence, we can find a deeper sense of peace. It's not just about quieting the noise around us, but quieting the noise inside us: the worries, the doubts, the constant thinking.
Exactly, and when we do that, we start to feel more balanced, more at ease with ourselves and the world. It's a process of letting go and just being.
So, in a way, silence helps us find ourselves. It leads to personal growth by giving us the space to reflect, to heal, and to become more mindful of our lives.
And that's something we all need, especially in a world that's always telling us to go faster, do more, and never stop.
Yes, finding moments of silence is essential. Even just a few minutes a day can make a big difference in how we feel and how we live our lives.
So, for all of our listeners, take a moment today to embrace silence. Whether it's sitting quietly with your thoughts, going for a walk in nature, or practicing mindfulness, give yourself the gift of silence.
And see how it affects you. Pay attention to how silence makes you feel. Does it help you relax, think more clearly, or find a sense of peace?
We hope you've enjoyed this podcast on the power of silence. Remember, silence is not something to avoid, it's something to cherish. It can help us grow, connect, and find peace in the middle of life's noise.
Thank you so much for being with us throughout this journey. We've loved sharing these ideas with you, and we hope you take away something valuable.
Bye for now.
Goodbye.